Hello students, my name is Mrs. Anderson and today I'm going to show you how to create a graph using Google Sheets. So the first thing you need to do is actually access Google Sheets. So you want to open up Google Chrome, and if you go to the top corner here you click on Apps and then you click Sheets, and you want to click here on Blank Sheet. And this will already automatically create a sheet in your Google Drive. The next thing I suggest that you do is retitle the sheet so you know what assignment it is. I recommend that you put in the course name and the assignment title. For this one I'm just going to use demo graph, but whatever assignment title that we're going to use. Okay, so the first thing we have to do now is put in our data. So you're going to click on box A1. Or actually, in this case, I'm going to start in A2. It'll make more sense in a little bit why I'm doing that. But then you can just start typing. And we're going to do a graph of time. And then hit enter to go to the next line. And then just type in each data point. And the data that I'm entering here is the data that I would like on the x-axis. You always want to put that in your column A. This is going to be your independent variable. And then in columns B, C, if you want to do plot 3 or 4 more things, you can go onward there. You want to put your dependent variables. I'm going to be plotting 2 sets of dependent variables today. So I'm going to put distance up here, and then in the cell beneath it, I am going to put for car 1 and for car 2. So what we are going to make a graph of today is a set of distances and times that have been collected for 2 cars that have been driving down the road. But this will be for whatever you want your graph to show. Again, after you put in a number, either hit enter or hit the down arrow. Okay, now that we have our data entered into our graph, we want to make the graph. What we're going to do is we're going to click in cell A1, and we're going to hold down the mouse button, click and drag until you have the entire data set highlighted here. Since I want to put both car 1 and car 2 on the same graph, I'm going to make sure all of that is highlighted. And then I want to go up to insert in the toolbar above, and then I want to click on chart. It took a minute, and it has decided to try to figure out what type of chart I want and made something here, but this is totally not what we want. So we need to make several changes to the chart here. You'll see also what popped up on the side is a chart editor. That's going to be really handy for us to be able to make the changes we need. So the first thing is just about every graph you're going to be creating is going to be a scatter plot because we are trying to figure out the relationships between variables. Line charts do not show us that. So we are going to click on the down arrow under chart type, and we are going to click scatter. So that just plots the points. The next thing that we need to do is look and give our chart a good title. So we are going to go over here to customize, and we've got several different options. We already changed our chart style, so we're going to go chart axes and title. So we're going to go chart title. Now for your chart title, it should always be in the form of relationship between whatever your relationship between whatever your y variable axis is. So in this case, it is going to be distance, and whatever your x axis variable is. time. So it's always going to be a relationship between y versus x. The other thing we're going to ask you to put in your title is your name and class period. So I'm going to write by Mrs. Anderson, and I'm just going to make up class period 10, but whatever your name and class period is in the title. All right, we now need to make sure we have our axes labeled in. So you want to use this chart menu here. And so you want to say horizontal axis title, and that has time, and it has in parentheses of seconds. That's good. Make sure that your axis titles have both the quantity and the associated units. Vertical axis title we have to add, so I am just going to say distance and include my unit of meters. And you can see that it's populated it here on the graph. All right, that is very good. The next thing that we want to do is make sure that our graph has the data points that are clearly able to be differentiated between each other, even if your graph is printed in black and white. So right now, the problem is they're both circles. We want to change that. So we're going to change that by going to Series. And we are going to make sure that it's applied to all data series, and we're going to click on whichever one we want to change. We need to change one of these two because they're both circles. We don't need to change both, but you can if you want to. So I am going to change the red ones and make them no longer circles. So how I do that is I clicked on any one of the dots in the data series. It's bringing up that data for card 2, and I'm going to make it, it doesn't matter as long as it's not a circle. So I'm going to make it a square. And 7-point, you can make the dots bigger if you want. I'm going to make them a little bit bigger, make a 10-point, that's fine. It doesn't, the exact size doesn't matter as long as you can clearly read your graph. Okay, there it is. Now you can see what I did is I accidentally clicked in the spreadsheet and we lost that chart menu, but you can get that back easily just by double clicking on the spreadsheet and it brings up the menu again. We are going to have to go over here now to customize, and we're not done yet. We got a lot more things that we need to add to our graph. One thing I want to do here is that I want to make our legend not appear under the title because that tends to get lost. So you're going to click on legend and you're just going to tell it position rather than auto position to the right. That puts it clearly to the right side. That's, I think, where most people are used to looking for a legend on a graph, so it'll be very easy for you to see. Now, what we want to do is we want to change our scales, make sure our scales look good. The graphing program will automatically try to scale your graph, but sometimes you may want to adjust that. So I'm going to show you how to do that next. So you want to click on horizontal axis here. And what you can see, you can do is you can change the font and things, but here minimum and maximum is going to be setting up your scale for your graph. So on this graph, our data starts at 0, 0, so it's okay to actually have 0 as the minimum value. If you were dealing with data that didn't start at 0, maybe you started at 50, then you'd want to make your minimum somewhere close to 50. On there. It doesn't always have to start at 0. It says here, allow bounds to hide data. I would generally unclick that because you don't want to lose data when it's trying to automatically rescale. And then you want to pick a maximum amount. You want to look at your data table and see, what are the highest numbers in your graph. And it has it out to 20. I don't like that it's kind of leaving me hanging here on what these last numbers are. So I'm going to actually tell it that the maximum value here should be 25. I think that looks a lot better. It can clearly now tell what this last data point is. Scale factor, that is let that be at default, that's fine. Make sure that the log scale is unchecked, and the rest of this I think you should not need to change. So that's all good there. We're going to check our vertical axis now, do kind of the same things, check to make sure that our numbers look okay. And I think the vertical axis actually looks pretty good. We can see what the numbers are. So I don't think there's anything that we need to change there. Now, one thing that's different about graphing on a computer versus by hand is that the computer is generating the grid behind you. And the issue that I kind of have with that is if you're going to try to print this out or extrapolate between it, it's going to be hard to read accurately between the lines, especially since this goes from 0 to 100. So what I recommend we do is we actually change the spacing of our grid lines on the graph. So it says major spacing type step. What that means is basically between each one of these big lines here, how much is it going to be? It's automatically scaling it at 100. I think that's too big. So I'm going to type, oh, let's type 25 in there. And you can see that it's making more scaling. And I look at that and I say, I don't know. I don't think I think 25 may be a little bit too much for this graph, so maybe we'll make it 50. Now, one thing you can also add on a graph to make it easier to kind of read what each one of the points are is you can add minor spacing. So what that is going to be is sublines between the big lines. These would be like what each little block would count for in a hand-drawn graph. So that's going to be count, and we can make them be various different numbers. And I'm going to make that count back at 4. That looks a lot better. So what that's going to do is now make 4 lines in between, so then each one of these smaller horizontal lines is going to be worth 10. I want to do the same thing for my horizontal axis. It's making each one of my time steps of 5, and that looks okay. I want to make my minor spacing 1 here. I don't like 1. I'm going to go up. There we go. So what that is doing is that's dividing each increment here by 5. So I can see that the lighter lines now are 1 second, 2 second, 3 second, 4 second. Oh, actually, I don't like that 5. Let's do 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, that looks good for the spacing. Next thing we need to do is add a trend line to the graph. So what we want to do is we want to click on any of our data points, double click on it, double click on it. And this is the same menu we had before where we changed the point from being a circle to a square. What we can do right now is we can actually click on trend line, and that is automatically adding a trend line here. We want to give it a couple settings though. You want to look at the trend line and see, does it fit your data? So right now it looks like my data is pretty linear, so this line is linear. If it didn't fit my data as linear, I have some other options here. You want to pick the one that seems to have the closest fit to your data. Linear is a good choice in this case. The label, you want to make sure that you click use equation. Whenever you have a trend line on a graph, you want to make sure that you post the equation of that trend line because the equation of that trend line has meaning. The slope of that line, which is given here right in front of the x because it's going to be in the form of y equals mx plus b, the slope of that trend line is actually going to tell you what the real relationship is between these two variables. If we look at the slope of this graph is going to be distance divided by time. And in this type of graph that's showing distance by time, that slope actually is showing us the relation between distance and time, which is the speed of the car. So that's actually really important that you show that equation for all of your graphs. The other thing that's important to know is how well does that trend line fit your data? You want to show what we call the correlation coefficient. That would be, you want to check right here with show R-squared value. The R-squared value, it's a statistical number that basically tells you how linear is your data. The closer this number is to 1, then the more linear your data is. So you can see our R-squared value now is 0.9999. That's very, very linear. So this was a car that was being very, very precise in its readings. All right, we want to add a trend line for our second data series. So I'm going to click on that data series and basically do the same thing. Trend line, what does look like it's linear, so that is good. The label, we want to use the equation, show R-squared value. Now, one thing you can see here looking at these two equations is that we have a different slope for our car 1, and that's because the car was going at a different speed. If you see, this car 1 has a steeper slope, so it was going at a faster speed compared to car 2. One thing we also can see is that the correlation coefficient, that R² value, is 0.989. So in terms of the accuracy of our data, or the precision of our data, it's not quite as precise as the one that was with the car 2, because this is farther away from 1. Remember that R² value, the closer the number is to 1, the more linear it is. So this one is not as linear as that one. All right, now the next thing that we want to do is you want to make sure your graphs are big and take up a whole page. So right now this is showing in the sheet, and so what we want to do is we want to click on these 3 dots and we want to say move to its own sheet. Okay, and then when it does that, it kind of automatically tries to refit things. One thing you'll notice is that by moving it to your own sheet, you can see the scale a whole lot better. It's a lot easier to see the scale. And then you want to just double check that at this point that your graph has everything that it should. It should have that title. That title should be Y versus X. It should have your name and period in it. You should have axis labels on your graph. You should have appropriate scaling that's going to fit your data. Make sure that if you're submitting an electronic graph that these gaps here aren't too large, so if you are going to try to read along the trend line, you're not having to extrapolate too much. And you want to make sure that you have those trend lines there and you have your equation and R² value on the graph. So right now we have our graph finished, and so we can turn this in. So at this point, your graph is done. All right, thank you for watching this video. We've got a great example of a graph here. Bye-bye.